Hey everyone. It's gonna be one of those webcasts. A lot of you can deduce what this initial image means, but for those of you who might be a bit confused, this was the room that we had been taking care of Flash in for over a month. And as you can see, there's no Flash. Flash is sadly no longer with us. He was put to sleep yesterday. So, yeah. Sorry, there's things going on. I got vehicles going by. I got gates opening. Yeah. Real crummy. And I suppose I can try to let you guys know as much as I can about how everything happened, how everything went down, and all of that stuff. Look at that. His and hers. His and hers. Just to recap, Flash, he had cancer on his eyelid. We decided to have that. We decided to have him sedated and have that cancer removed. Upon further inspection, when he was on the operating table, he actually had cancer going down into his ears and his ear canal. And so not only was the stuff on his eye removed, but the stuff that was on his ear canal, it was, his entire ear was removed. After the fact, he had stopped eating immediately after the surgery. He was eating, but then shortly thereafter he stopped eating, and he stopped eating for weeks. It was a very, very long time. And he was he was not doing the greatest. So decided to have we had decided to sedate him again to try and determine maybe the root cause for why he wasn't eating, to see if possibly the cancer had continued to spread, or if there was any secondary infections, or what. Oh my goodness. And he made a relatively sharp downturn, and what we had learned from his blood results from the secondary procedure was that his kidneys were not functioning appropriately. And he had taken a bit, and here's the thing, we'll get into all the different what could be or all that stuff, but right now let's stick to the timeline. So he had a pretty fast downward spiral, and we were trying to, and before he was drinking water here and there, and then we tried to give him IV fluids to try to jumpstart his kidney function a little bit more. And there was different medications that he had been given and different vitamins and that Dr. Bill had given him. And Heidi said that basically because his condition, his quality of life had been diminished significantly, and we didn't feel like we were going to be able to make any real improvements on his condition. That I think that his body was giving out. So Heidi made the decision to have him put to sleep. And we had to expedite the timetable for that because he had become neurologic. And he was not in good shape. And we decided to send him off to see his old girlfriend Lily sooner rather than later. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. I know that this whole thing, it's obviously, very shocking and very upsetting. And I guess it's one of those things where we've been tending to him and dealing with him and seeing the ups and seeing the downs. So I think we've been able to kind of mentally prepare ourselves for this eventuality or this distinct possibility for quite some time. And I know that it might be a little bit more, the sting might be, I guess, a bit more current. And a bit more of a abrupt sort of revelation. We performed a necropsy on Flash after the fact, which that means opening them up, going inside, trying to learn what we can learn after he had been put to sleep. And there were some interesting things that we saw. There were other bits of what appeared to be and also keep in mind that, and this is part of what Dr. Bill was telling us, was the two different pieces of cancer, the one in his eyelid and the one in his ear, were actually two different forms. They were two separate forms of malignant cancer. One was a melanoma and the other one was a sarcoma. And I guess that they both had certain levels. I don't know what the word Dr. Bill was using, but they had an elevated level which suggested that they were both aggressive forms of these bad cancers. And I think the word started with M, and I kept on saying like midichlorians to Dr. Bill. I kept on like, okay, so the midichlorians are high, and that means, and he's like, I don't do Star Trek. So, you got to find moments to, got to find moments of levity. But there were some different things that we found. I mean, granted, also you have to realize that, like, during that second procedure, there was other developments on his eyelid that happened like very rapidly. He also had what appeared to be different spots of melanoma inside his gums. That but he was an older guy, so of course there was like wear and tear on his organs. He was 15, wear and tear. He had some ulcers. His kidneys didn't look fantastic, and there was one kidney had a sizable mass in it, a sizable tumor. So that could definitely account for, decreased function. And it's like, at this point, it's like we're left to kind of piece together. We have to put on our detective hats and figure out, like, okay, well, what is the cause of a lot of this other stuff? And how does it relate to one another? And there's so many different interrelated things where, and then you start, wondering, there's the factors of cancer, and then there's also the factors of age, and then there's also the factors of like doing the procedures themselves. Like sometimes the act of cutting can cause like cancer to propagate, and it's sometimes, not all the time, but it can. Could it be? Hi. Oh, you're pooping. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a poo squeak. She, even when I didn't. Sorry. Probably should have given you a little bit more privacy. But even when she was pooping, she's just like, I am adorable. Even when I poop. Even when I poop, I'm adorable. But then you know, even like different reactions with drugs could have, you know, caused, you know, just like a depletion of strength. And again, there's no one way to. And Dr. Bill also seems to think that there what could also be, because there were so many things that when it, like on the other stuff that is I'm describing, he also seems to think that what could be a very distinct possibility is that cancer metastasized inside of his brain, which would absolutely account for like how he became neurologic. It could account for why he stopped eating. It could account for like. Basically, it could check off all the boxes for what happened. So, yeah. And it's one of those kind of things where, I mean, you look at... Hi, bud. Yeah, you look at a guy like Solano. Like, he had tumors that were boring into his head. They were going, they wanted to get to that guy's brain, and we did the procedure, and now he's fine. Look at it, he's great. He hasn't had any other developments, you know. So there's so many different things where it's like you find yourself stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you do something possibly putting the animal at risk, or do you do nothing and then possibly put the animal at risk? And those are decisions that Heidi has to make. And I'm not in that position where I make those ultimately. I can provide my 2 cents. I can provide my opinion on the matters, but ultimately it is her decision. That's actually, it's written into our bylaws that Heidi gets to have the final say in like the medical and health and welfare decisions for these animals, and that includes these types of procedures. And it is not, you know, it's not a happy place to have to make these types of decisions. Like you might notice, like the thing that's on like Conopolly's eye, like he's got a development, you know, but he's so old. We just decided, like, I mean, he's a big guy and he's 18 years old, and we're just gonna let that. I mean, yeah, at this point, it's quality of life versus quantity of life, and we fear that the procedure might be too stressful on him, and it would negate whatever good might come from trying to remove whatever it is. And also, it could just be, he could just have something that's just kind of, it's not even that big of a deal. So it's like, at this point, it's just like, all right, bud, we're gonna ghost ride that tiger. And he's doing fine. He's doing fine right now. The only way that you can ever really know, and this is, again, so yeah, there's all sorts of there's all sorts of what ifs. Well, what if this would happen? What if this would have happened? And I 100% wholeheartedly stand behind the decisions that were made regarding Flash's condition. And the only way that we would ever really know if anything outcomes would have been different is if we had a time machine and we went back and did things differently based on the information that we had and the things that we saw. I mean, come on. I guess he had some pretty gnarly stuff going down his ear. So yeah, there's, and like I say, he's an older gentleman. So that just all these different factors come into play, and there's genetic factors too. And a lot of people they say like, well, you seem to be you have like a relatively high incidence of cancer that develops at the facility. And one thing that you also have to realize is a lot of these cats are cousins. They're related. They do share like similar family lineage. Because a lot of these cats are leftovers from when the facility, when CARE wasn't CARE, when CARE was a completely different organization. When it used to be used as for, you know, like zoologic breeding and boarding and different stuff like that. So there's genetic factors that come into play too. But yeah, I certainly I was there, and I had to witness, you know, all the steps. Oh, jeez. And the decisions that had to be weighed. It's not a fun place to be. It's not a fun place to be at all. At all. Hi, Sugar Pie. Hi, Sugar Pie. But yeah, Mr. Flashman. He's with Lily. I wish that you folks could have met Lily. She was, oh gosh, she was so sweet. She was so sweet. She was another tiger. She used to live in Flash's enclosure with him. She passed away very, very suddenly. That was years ago. She had a defective heart valve. And she limped. And it was, we didn't realize that she had a defective heart valve until like she had a heart attack in the middle of, and she was a young cat. She had a heart attack in the middle of the night. She just went to sleep one night and didn't wake up. Come to find out that she had a heart attack because she was trying to pass like a blood clot through one of her valves, one of those defective valves. And that also explained why she had possibly that limp, because maybe she had an injury when she was a cub. Oh, there's Max. She had an injury when she was a cub. Possibly. Maybe like her mom picked her up kind of weird or something like that. Not exactly sure. And because of the decreased amount of blood flow to that side, this is theorizing things, that she developed just a permanent limp. And she had that limp. And she was a relatively young cat. And Flash just absolutely doted on her. He was so sweet to her. So sweet. Num 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 num. Num dum 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 dum. Num num num. Hum hum. And that's kind of that was a special thing that he did, because instinctually a lot of times whenever cats see that another cat has like a flaw or a weakness, they instinctually want to exploit that flaw, that weakness. They want to capitalize it. And they'll be jerks about it. Like, oh, you have this problem. Well, let me see if I can jump on you and bite your head a bunch of times because you can't fight back. That's just how they think. They're terrible. It's terrible. But not Flash. He was so sweet. He was so sweet with Lily. Very, very sweet. Always let her eat first. Always let her eat first. He was a special boy. So yeah. And it seems like what happened with him, that there was just like a bunch of different factors, maybe individually would not have been, much, but when you put all of them together, then yeah, it can create for a fatal situation. And he did. He had multiple forms of aggressive cancer inside of him. Mr. Flashman. Sweet boy. And this boy is very sweet too. This boy is very sweet too. Look at him. He's going to be coming over to say hi. He is coming over to say hi. You going to come over? He's just like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. I don't want to get my peats on the grass. Hey, old fella. You know, and that's the thing. You look at chompers like here. You look at Conopoli. These two guys are 18 years old. And you sit there and you think, well, they should all make it to that. But again, it's just everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to metabolize food differently. Everyone's going to have different blood flow rates or cholesterol levels. They're all going to have different things that they bring to the table. Genetically. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about some of the time frames, because again, Flash was 15, and if I always thought that if you can get them to like 17 years old, that's all right. You can kind of say like, well, all right, there you go. And if they make it to 20, that's like, oh my gosh. But anything past that, it's pretty much borrowed time. And I try to think like, okay, well, what's that for people? What's that for people? And I think if you make it into your 80s, like mid 80s, like getting close to 90s, I think that's kind of when you say like, all right, that's a great, anything past that is borrowed time. That's pretty good. Then you break it up into chunks. Okay, so he makes it to 15. And like 20 is like is that big med, like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. That is so good. Good for you. Good for you for living that long. Good. You know, people congratulate, you know, like, oh my gosh, Ernest made it. He's 100 years old. I'm like, good for you, Ernest. Yeah. So if you can make it to 20, like, okay, so you break that up, that's like 4 5-year increments. And then Flash made it to 3 5-year increments. So 3/4 of that kind of really just like impressive, kind of like, whoa. But when you compare that to people, let's say that it's like, yeah, 100 and everything, that's still like you're someone like reaching into their 70s. At least 60s. Is what Flash was at. Oh my gosh. Look at these sweethearts. Look at these sweethearts. And we got a bunch of course, we got a bunch of paw prints. When cats pass, we'll get a bunch of paw prints and put them onto canvases. We'll get black ink and put paw prints on canvases. Just, you know, as mementos. Because it's really, you know, like you can't get any more. So we did a bunch of that. And we sent him off to be cremated. I know that we usually buried a lot of the other cats that have passed. I personally have dug over 20 holes. Yeah, that was a big part of my process for many years. It was the last thing I was able to do to take care of them, so to speak. Is that I was the one that was able to put them in the ground, and that was my process. I did that over 20 times. Miss Firebug. Go see you in just a little bit, but this one's being pretty cute. So, yeah, Firebug's been staying in Flash's old enclosure. Letting the girls have some space. You know, I come over here thinking it was going to be the right kind of beat. You know, like, all right, now she's going to like acknowledge and maybe she'll snuffle. Hi. Oh, you derp. You lovable derp. One thing I want to also talk about, because I kind of touched lightly upon like a lot of the different stuff as far as like the conditions. I hope, and I'm trying to make sure that I get all the details right as far as the timeline of events and stuff like that. So if there's anything that I get wrong, I may have to go back and put things down in like the comment section below or into the video description. So I always want to make sure that I'm putting out factual information. That's really important. Babies. These babies. Oh, we're gonna go and see. I had something. It was on the tip of my tongue. I can't quite remember 100% what that thing was. Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess I want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the actual day, you know, some of the final moments themselves. And yeah, it was a very emotional day, of course. Because you know that it's going to be coming, and like you're anticipating, you made the plans. Okay, this is when it's going to happen. But yesterday, he was in just really rough shape, and he was more and more neurologic. He started to have some seizures, and this is one of those things where it reaffirms this idea that just Heidi is on another level of love and just compassion and what it means to be a caretaker and to be that mother type figure, and just how incredible she is. Because there was time when we told Dr. Bill, like, this, okay, today's the day that we gotta get this done. Hi, baby. We were sitting with Flash and just really hoping that maybe one of the seizures would be it, the one that just kind of took him. And Heidi was sitting there and she was talking to him and she was being so sweet and she was being so lovely. And it's like, here's the other thing, like, she's not, like, Heidi's not, this moment, like, so critical. She's not weepy. She's not just like, oh, Flash. No, she's talking to him like a mom. And she's telling him, like, go, bud. Go, baby. Go, baby. Like, he would have a neurologic episode. And then she would just be like, go, go, go. Go to Lily. Push, 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 push. Push, baby. Push, baby. Melita's feeling better. Melita's feeling a lot better, by the way. Hi, baby. Hi, how you doing? You doing okay? Yeah, I know. Yeah, you were pretty sick there for a little bit. Nice sugar pie. Yeah. But she would go to Lily. Go, 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 run, run, run. It's like being born. It's like being born. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Go to her. And then he would stop and he would calm down. And then she would smile at him and she would just say, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to be here. Don't be afraid. Mommy's gonna be fine. I'll be fine." And she was with him. Hi, baby. And she was with him, so he wasn't afraid. That was. She's something else, you know? She really is. Just a different type of human. Just a different type of human. That's my wife. I'm so proud of her. And this is the thing, is that just the amount of time that she spent caring for him, tending to him, just trying so many different things, trying to get him better, not giving up. I mean, just the amount of energy and emotion that you pour into this work. I mean, she exemplifies that. Hi, Miss Lay. She exemplifies that. And, you know, when Dr. Bill was able to first administer the sedation medicine, because that's the first step. You administer the sedation medicine, and then when Cat's sleepy, you administer the actual euthanasia medicine. And it's like once the go to sleep medicine, the sleepy medicine is administered, that's when you say your goodbyes, because that's the last time you're gonna see him. And me and Heidi made sure to sit there and talk to him, you know. I mean, it was mostly Heidi, because that's who, I mean, let's be honest, that's who he wants to hear from anyway. Just making sure. Making sure that he knew that he wasn't alone. Yeah. And of course there's a lot of tears. But then I've talked about this before, how you have to just keep on moving. And really there's only so many, I mean, after everything was said and done and he was gone, I mean, it's not like me and Heidi sat and embraced each other. Just this long and just drawn out, just crying. No, it's like yeah, there's tears and maybe sniffle. It's like, but it's a numbing experience. And I hugged her, I gave her a kiss. I said, "I'm sorry." And then we went to work. That's all you can do sometimes. Just say, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, baby." And that's it. So that's when I gave that little miniature walk around the compound webcast, and I was saying Because I actually filmed that one earlier this morning, so everything had already been done. You know, Flash was already gone when I filmed that one. And when I said like, oh, there's so many things happening yesterday, yeah, that was what we were doing yesterday. So, yep. As soon as we, if and when we find out anything else, which we might not, there might not be any other, you know, big smoking gun red herring answers. There might not be. But if we do find out anything else, of course, we'll let you know. We will absolutely let you know. And Heidi's going to be writing up we have a couple of different people that are going to be writing some different in memoriam kind of things about Flash, so just stay tuned on our Facebook page and the CARE website. CareRescueTexas.com. Sorry, I had to. It's a somber moment, Derek. Like, what? I'm sorry, marketing. But, yeah. Heidi's going to be writing up something about the position that she has to inhibit and the decisions she has to make and the difficulty of that. And yeah, she's going to be putting something together. And here's the thing: I can talk about this stuff, but it's like it's that telephone game. You know, you heard from a thing, a friend of a friend told me, kind of thing. Like, I'm witnessing the stuff that Heidi is having to deal with, and then I am giving a historical accounting of that. And you really need to, and she's going to actually spend the time to try to give her perspective on a lot of that. So I would definitely keep my eyes out for that, and I will let you know once that does become public. And yeah. Anywho, this is rambling. I don't know. There's part of me that just wants to keep on, just like, you want to keep on prolonging it. You just want to keep on prolonging it, because even like just when I get to talk about Flash, it's like there's still a part of it he's still around, you know. But I gotta end it. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll talk to you next time, okay? Alright, bye-bye.